Ready? Okay, good evening, colleagues. Could we make a start? I think it's going 7 o'clock. Don't even need to bang my gavel there. Okay, just when we kick off, can I again remind everybody, in case you've forgotten, that the meeting will be shown live and stored for later viewing. And if anybody misbehaves, and I'm sure you won't, I do have the power to switch off the filming. So, can also remind councillors, that includes you, Councillor Devlin, who's not listening, if you choose to speak, to switch your microphone on, and when you cease speaking, switch your microphone off, because that means the camera will follow you when you speak, and when you put your microphone off, you're off camera. Okay? Item number 1, apologies for absence. I think we've got a few apologies this evening. Okay,
Thank you, Provost. We have 3 apologies. Deputy Provost Cunningham, Councillors Aitken and MacDonald.
Okay, I can again remind councillors of the Code of Conduct, which requires elected members to declare any financial or non-financial interests they may have on any of the items in the agenda. So, can I have any declarations of interest that anybody may have? No? Okay. Item number 3 is the meeting, the minute of the meeting of the 28th March 2018. The minute is submitted for approval this evening. Any comments on that minute? Councillor Ireland.
I've actually got 3 comments, very quick comments to make. Page 340, second to bottom paragraph. It's right in the middle. It says, he cited an incident in summer 2017 when bins had been moved from a visible street level position to a pavement and burned. Actually was in relation to an incident in Stamperland, and that was mentioned during the council meeting. So if that could be amended to indicate that.
Okay, we have a correction for that one.
I've got one. Thank you very much. The next was on the next page, 341. Again, second to bottom paragraph. She added that an argument for change had been made at that meeting. It wasn't so much an argument for change that was made at the meeting, but it was an argument to change the notification process and the period for public consultation was made at that meeting. It wasn't so much just an argument for change, and that was made clear at the last meeting.
Okay, again, a slight amendment for that minute.
Provost, I know what Councillor Ireland says, and we can certainly go back and check the webcast just to confirm that that's the case. Yep,
that's great. I've had a wee look just before coming out, just to be on the safe side. The final point was page 342. First paragraph, bottom line, says adding that comments suggested accidents could be stopped by eliminating reversing. It's actually adding that comments by the Health and Safety Executive 2015 guidance and the Waste Industry Safety and Health Forum guidance of 2015, both of which I referenced at the last meeting with regard to the comments.
Again, happy to do that, Provost, but just to remind members, this isn't a verbatim record, and certainly comments suggested does summarise that, albeit that it doesn't make specific reference to the bodies who had provided that information. But I know what Councillor Ireland's saying.
I feel that it's important that it's just not general comments, that it was particular industry comments. Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll try and incorporate those amendments of clarification, really. Any other points in that minute? Can we approve it and move on to item number 4, which is the minute of the meeting of 3rd May 2018. Again, the minute is submitted for approval and signature. Any issues? Okay, we agree that one. And item number 5 is minutes of the meetings from 29th March to 8th May 2018. Again, minute volume submitted for approval, and I'm happy to take any questions on the minutes if anybody has any. Councillor Swift.
Thank you, Provost. Page 366, and it's a request for civic hospitality for from the Recovery Across Mental Health fundraising anniversary dinner and quiz. Now, it's not in specific relation to that, but it is in relation to requests from health and social care organisations for grants. Given that we devolve a significant budget to the Health and Social Care Partnership, should health and social care type requests for donations, grants, whatever, not go to the Health and Social Care Partnership rather than come to the Council? Is it just a question?
Thank you, Provost. I know the particular application that Councillor Swift is referring to. The Council does have a community grants fund, and there are certain eligibility criteria attached to that fund. As long as an organisation meets those criteria, they are entitled to apply to the Council, but ultimately, again, it would be for the Council to decide whether or not to actually grant the financial assistance. Mrs Murray might want to comment further on whether or not HSCP actually has funding that could assist organisations like that.
Yes, certainly. Yes, we stopped providing Section 10 grants some years ago as part of a savings programme, but I know you're not being specific, but for example, RAMH is a long-standing partner and provider, and actually we fund them to do a range of things to the tune of about £1 million. So I think this was a fundraising dinner in honour of a 40th anniversary, so I wouldn't see a necessity for looking at a grant over and above that in this instance.
Okay, Councillor Swift, are you happy with that?
I'm very happy with that as an answer in relation to this specific request. I kind of would like the Council perhaps to look at the criteria and change the criteria for health and social care type grants to move them somewhere else, because the budget for that sits somewhere else as well.
But what I would say generally about the committee is, it's an all-party committee, and it sits to look at the whole raft of requests we receive from a whole variety of good causes who want us to provide financial assistance. We don't have the budget to take tables at all those dinners, and therefore the job of the committee is to prioritise to a degree, and that's done very much trying to see how much work is done in that area by organisations. If it's an organisation with a particularly high profile many people are using, of course we try and support that. And in some instances it might well be that if we've supported an organisation by taking a table one year, they may not get it next year and somebody else may get it. That's just so it's not an absolute science, but it's to do as much as we can for the organisations which are relevant to East Renfrewshire within the very limited budget that we have. Right, can we move on? Any other comments in the minutes? Sorry, Councillor Convery.
Thank you, Provost. It's a question on page 366 also, but it's on the protocols for use of the council car. I was just wondering, is there an actual list of what councillors other than yourself have used the car?
To be honest, Councillor Convery, the car has been used so infrequently by other elected members that there isn't really a list. That the use has been, I think, other than with one exception, been limited to the Provost and an occasion the Deputy Provost.
Hi, is that just in this year? It's only been used once other time, yeah?
Yes, since the new council started, yes.
The protocol is there to tighten it up, but it hasn't been extensively used by councillors on the authority. Councillor Bamforth.
Thank you. I'm aware that it's not a verbatim record, but on page 354 of the minutes, when we talk about the open space management plan, can I have it added that I queried why Mearns Castle High School outdoor playing fields at Broomburn Park weren't included in the plan? It was acknowledged that it had actually been an omission and it will be included in the next review, but I would like it added to the minutes just so that we have it on record, and so that the next time the plan is produced that it can be referred back to and a prompt for them to include it.
To be absolutely clear what you're asking here. So it's really an addition to the minute?
Yes, an addition to the minute. I realise you can't minute absolutely everything verbatim that was said, but I would like that particular part added to it, please, if that's possible.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. Any other comments to the minute volume? Okay. With those clarifications and amendments, can we accept them? Thank you very much. And moving on then to item number 6, which is statements by conveners or representatives of joint boards and committees. I have two conveners, I think, who want to make a statement this evening. Councillor Bamforth.
Thank you, Chair. Our last Integration Board meeting was held on the 4th of April. Details of the budget offer from both the Council and NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde were provided by our Chief Financial Officer. We also received an update on the HSCP Fit for the Future redesign programme, which should deliver staffing savings and efficiencies. Work on our strategic commissioning plan continues. This is a document that sets out how the Integration Joint Board will meet health and wellbeing outcomes over the next 3 years. The Integration Joint Board have agreed our strategic priorities, and these are available to any member who wishes to see them. We received an update on the preparations for the implementation of the Carers Scotland Act, and the Integration Joint Board was reassured that a great deal of partnership working had already been undertaken in readiness for the new duties, including the development of local eligibility criteria and work with East Renfrewshire carers, voluntary action and education colleagues on the development of adult carer support plan and young carer statements. All papers are available online if anyone wants to read them, and briefings can be provided for any councillors on request that would like more information. Thank you.
And a statement from Councillor Merrick.
Thank you, Provost. As Convener for Community Services, I want to today draw your attention to the public consultation on options in relation to the future of Eastwood Park Leisure, which was launched yesterday. This is the consultation we agreed to take forward at the Council meeting last December. Eastwood Park Leisure is, together with Barhead Foundry, one of the two main sports centres operated by East Renfrewshire Culture and Leisure Trust, and together with Eastwood High School Sports Centre and Neilson Leisure Centre, accounts for some 650,000 customer visits every year. The complex was built more than 40 years ago. A little over half of the Trust's income is commercially generated, and of that, 75% comes from the sports and leisure centres. The Council's vision for these assets is therefore critical to the success of the Trust, but more importantly is a crucial part of our vision for East Renfrewshire as a place to live and work. The consultation is in an online format and will ask the public for their preferred option for developing leisure provision within the Eastwood area. The public will be asked to choose one of the following 4 options. I'll be as brief as I can with these, but there's a little bit of detail. Option 1, which will cost £49,000 per annum, take no action and continue to operate the leisure centre as at present. The leisure centre would continue to run on a reactive maintenance basis with no large-scale expenditure and no enhancements or alteration to the facilities currently on offer. This is not considered to be a long-term solution, as it is estimated that major failure could occur within the next 5 years, resulting in the permanent closure of the leisure centre. Option 2, cost up to £11 million. And this would address the current backlog maintenance issues identified, with some upgrading of entrance, roof, pool, plant, theatre and gym. This option would address some of the current issues at the centre, although would not offer any of the additional facilities the centre is currently lacking, for example sports halls, squash courts, studios, pitches, etc., and which leave it uncompetitive. This option would require the centre to close during the refurbishment for at least 12 months, causing significant disruption and a loss of custom, which would lead to the need to increase the management fee to the Trust. We know from experience that once we lose customers, it is very difficult to attract them back, even to a refurbished centre. Therefore, refurbishing will have a longer-term adverse impact on the Trust's ability to generate income. Option 3, the cost of this is up to £16 million. Redevelop the leisure centre on the existing site, which would allow the Council to address all current maintenance issues and provide the facilities the centre is currently lacking. This will make the centre more competitive, but will again require the centre to close for a significant period of time, with the resulting loss of custom, increase in the management fee and would be subject to the constraints of the park setting. Option 4, the cost is 25 to 30 million, to create a new leisure centre on an alternative site within the Eastwood area, which has not been identified fully at this stage. This proposal could significantly increase the size of the current facility, offering the opportunity to expand the facilities on offer, and would allow the Trust to continue to operate in Eastwood Park throughout the project. The consultation will run for 6 weeks, so it closes on the 19th of June 2018. Only if the public choose option 4 will we then move to look at possible sites through the normal planning process. This consultation will play a key role in helping shape how East Renfrewshire Culture and Leisure continues to provide our residents with high-quality services and achieves the vision to help and inspire people to be actively involved in sport, arts and culture. I commend the consultation to the Council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Merrick. I mean, I'm not going to throw this open for debate. It's really just a statement about the consultation. There'll be plenty of time at the end of the consultation to debate any of the options. So we've had quite a clear statement about what the consultation's about. Is it, if it's a point of clarification, I'll take it, but I don't want to debate on them.
Just a point of clarification, because it was something that I've raised before at a previous council meeting about what Councillor Merrick has said about the business of any site would be looked at once they get a response back that they would be looking for a new build. And at the time I said, do you not think it should? Well, I certainly think that any possible sites should be listed at this point in time so that people have an idea of what they're talking about. I feel that just to say we want a new build, it doesn't really explain the position, and that's what I raised once before.
My understanding is there are options listed, but perhaps Councillor Merrick can clarify that point.
There are 5 options listed.
No.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for your question, Councillor Grant. I think on the report that we put up to the Cabinet on the 7th of December 2017, there are 7 sites listed. And in paragraph 37, it said some consideration, I'll just read out this, it's a short couple of paragraphs. Some consideration has been given to possible locations for a site for a new facility, which would require a footprint of around 8,000 metres squared. That's at an early stage, and further detailed feasibility work would be required to be carried out in this respect if approval in principle is given to develop the option. And then we list 7 sites. And then we point out that that is not an exhaustive list, because these and other potential sites would be considered as part of the feasibility study and the business case. So it's just not feasible, I think, to go and do a feasibility study on every 8,000 square metres where we could potentially build at this point.
Really, I'm not wanting a debate in this. I mean, I realise it's relevant to people. There'll be absolutely ample opportunity to debate all of this when the consultation reports back. Okay, fine. Ahead.
The trouble is, what you've said, Councillor Merrick, doesn't say that in the consultation document itself. I was on it last night, and it doesn't say anything about any particular sites.
Thank you. I've been on the consultation as well. While not directly referenced in the body of the consultation, there is a link that you can access in the consultation that takes you to the report that was previously submitted. So you should be able to easily find that through the consultation process.
Okay, right, thank you. I think we'll call a halt at that, because we've dealt, it's a statement and you've had the statement, so I'm not taking any more comments on the statement. Can we move on? No, sorry. No, I'm going to move on, if you don't mind, Councillor Swift, because I did say there'll be ample time for debating when we it's an open and honest consultation. Let's wait till we get the result of it and then have a debate. Can I move on then to item number 7, which is the appointment of replacement members on the committees and boards of the Council? As councillors will be aware, Councillor MacDonald has resigned from the Audit and Scrutiny Committee. Councillor MacDonald has also resigned from the Licensing Committee and the Licensing Board, and Councillor Aiken has resigned from the Planning Applications and the Local Review Body. So therefore, I require 3 councillors here this evening to replace them. So can I deal with those appointments one by one and take the Audit and Scrutiny Committee first? So is there a nomination for a replacement councillor for the Audit and Scrutiny Committee? Councillor Miller.
Councillor McLean.
Any other nominations for it? Okay, Councillor McLean, congratulations, you're duly elected onto the Audit and Scrutiny Committee. The second one is a Licensing Committee and the Licensing Board. Is there a nomination for that? Councillor Miller?
Subject to passing exam, Councillor Grant.
Okay.
Sorry, Councillor Gilbert.
Okay. You're sure about that, Councillor Gilbert, right? Okay. Congratulations, Councillor Gilbert. I take it you're happy to serve on it,
Thank
yes?
you very much.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And the last one is the Planning Applications Committee and the Local Review Body. Is there a nomination for that committee? Councillor Miller.
Councillor Swift.
Okay.
And it's accurate this time.
Right. Councillor Swift, I take it you're happy to accept the nomination. So,
Promised I would be very happy to step in and take up the slack where Councillor Aiken couldn't and wouldn't do the work.
thank you for that, and congratulations on your appointment to the Planning Applications and Local Review Body Committee. Okay. Can we then move on to item number 8? It's a bit of a note. Oh yeah, and it's really for noting promise engagements. Sorry, I'm missing it, unless anybody's an issue with it. Item number 9 is the East Renfrewshire Community Plan. The report here this evening seeks approval for the draft community plan, which will be submitted to the CP board in June. As you know, the 3 group leaders are all part of the board, which is Councillors Buchanan, O'Kane and Miller, and I would also like delegation that should there be any slight amendment to this plan between now and June, because we don't have a council meeting, that those 3 councillors can take those amendments forward and shape the plan before it goes in front of the CP board in June. So these are the 2 things I'm seeking your approval for this evening, but of course very happy to take questions or comments on the plan itself. Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Provost. Could I go to page 8 and under community plan? Could I ask that I get some guidance here, because I'm not sure that I'm not aware of a situation. Councillor Fletcher and Councillor Buchanan and myself were at an evening event which was put together by youngsters who used to be in the school, Isabel Mayer School, who have now left that because they're over 18. And this group are very keen to continue with drama and music. Now, this plan here talks about early years and also vulnerable young people. Well, these are vulnerable young people who are very keen to continue with their drama and their music. Now, could somebody tell me, do we have a provision for young people who are over 18 where there doesn't, on the face of it, seem to be any provision for these young people? Because my colleagues at the top table will verify with me that it was an excellent evening, and it was wonderful to see these youngsters, you know, giving their all and doing so well. And I would like to think that if we don't have a provision for something like that, we might be able to find a provision, but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we've already got all that. Can somebody help me?
I concur it was an excellent evening. Kids were a credit, and I credit, I think, to the volunteers who were giving up of their time over a long period. So we're grateful for that. But in terms of the actual question itself, I'll throw it over to the officers if they're able to shed any light on it. Mr. Reid.
Thanks. Yeah, we do in fact have a number of groups for young people with additional support needs who are over 18. I'm not specifically aware of the drama request that you've highlighted, but there are a range of groups, and we work with a range of young people with severe and complex additional support needs beyond even their 25th birthday, to ensure that they've got access to peer support, issues that interest them, and so on. So if there's further young people from Isabel Mayer School who feel that they're going to be in that position, we can signpost them and discuss with them what their options are. What we do try to do, though, is support those groups and their families to be as self-sustaining as they can be.
If I could just say that I'm grateful for that information from Jamie, and perhaps he could give me a list of all these things that are available, because I could pass them on. It would be helpful. Can you do that, Jamie? Thank you.
Any other points? Councillor O'Kane.
I was just add to that, and I'll declare an interest as an employee of Enable Scotland, but third sector organisations like Enable Scotland who work in the area would also be able to support in terms of lists, and I'm sure Jamie will have access to that in terms of partnership working.
Councillor Ireland.
Yep, it's just a very quick question. Would like a very quick answer to as well. Does the community plan linked with the Fair of East Wren drive the community choices events that are planned for the next 3 years and the areas in which those are happening?
So yes, we have a statutory obligation to create locality plans in the communities that are that have the greatest instances of multiple deprivation. So we prioritised initially Auchenback and the Arthurlie, Dunterley and Dovecot Hall areas. They're our first two. And then the next two areas that were identified in terms of SIMD need were in Nielsen's and Thornley Bank. So we are cascading out in order with locality planning and community choices in order of need.
Thank you very much for that. I would like you still to consider the Ward 4 area to look at some point in the future, and understand you've undertaken extensive community engagement. I think it might be an idea to speak to some of the people in Ward 4 just going forward with the possibility of looking at that at some point in the future.
Okay, Councillor Swift.
Thank you very much, Provost. On page 9, there are a range of bullet points, 5 of them that focus on the key areas that the Council is going to be working on. And at the bottom we have reducing social isolation, loneliness and increasing safety. And quite rightly this Council has focused a great deal of energy, resource on people who come from lower socioeconomic groups, as Jamie just spoke about. But loneliness has the same degree of adverse outcomes that you would associate with health inequalities in terms of poverty. And loneliness is much more difficult to put your finger on. And whilst we have a reasonable metric in here, and I think that's perfectly fair and good, I'm not sure quite what we're doing, what else we're doing. We're not certainly putting, at least I don't perceive that we're putting the effort in to tackle loneliness that we are to tackle some of the issues associated with deprivation.
Okay, do you want to deal with that specifically, what we're doing for loneliness, Mrs Murray?
Yes, it was just to say that's actually one of the kind of significant priorities for the Health and Social Care Partnership, and the whole thrust of some of our community-led support is to direct people and connect them to other groups, neighbourhoods, churches, etc. in the area. So there's a whole range of work going on. We're working with Voluntary Action very closely on this, but with a whole variety of other third sector and community organisations, focusing on older people primarily.
Councillor Lafferty.
Thank you, Provost. I think in general terms this is an excellent report, and I'd like to commend everyone for their contributions to producing this paper before us. I can appreciate there's not the detail that we will see in the future, but I have to say that it sets out a course that I very much support, and tackles targets, which I think are worthy of pursuit. I know there's going to be a lot of challenges to be faced, but I think it's very effective in that if we can agree with our community planning partners our way forward, we can have a much more effective and efficient attack on these issues that we want to embrace. I just wonder if perhaps it will give it, considering the discussion we had earlier on this evening with COSLA regarding local governance and control from the centre, will it give us an opportunity for perhaps helping to shape with our partners, I won't name any particular one, but some of our partners to be more effectively engaged locally and accountable locally?
Into Mr. Reid.
I think it's fair to say that the process that the community planning partners have gone through to arrive at where we are now has really been quite a robust and intensive process. We have had a lot of quite meaningful and intensive conversations with individual partners about our contributions to each of the different parts of the plan. So I think we're better placed now than maybe we have been in the past, because our key priority areas, we've sharpened the focus on them, and we've said these are the areas we want to make an impact, we want to make a difference, and we want to work with our partners and be clear how we're going to measure our progress on them. So there's still a lot of work to do over the next year to sharpen that even further and to be clear how are we going to know what success will look like. But I think we've all been really pleased by the level of engagement by our partners, and maybe some partners who in the past have been less clear about their contribution locally. We're finding some very good partnership working going on and very positive noises, so we're quite optimistic that we can build on that.
Councillor Buchanan.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It's just an overall. I mean, it should be borne in mind that this is very much our high-level document at the present time, and there will be a huge amount of work going on beneath this document. It is the result of really quite extensive work across not only here in the council but with all our partners across the community planning partnership to get us to this stage. I very much welcome the fact that it includes the inclusion of the Fairer East Wren plan, and that in itself is quite a significant development. Overall, the plan, I think, is an excellent one. There will be some tinkering around that, and we'll deal with that at the Community Planning Partnership Board in June, and obviously we'll work with our respective partnership organisations to make sure that we get this right. It is about taking it forward. It is about looking to the future and delivering a much fairer East Wren, and delivering for all our residents and citizens, and in particular highlighting the areas which are mentioned in the document. So it is our high-level document. There is a lot of work that will go on below that, but I think it puts us in a very good position, and hopefully we can all agree the paper. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Buchanan. Councillor O'Kane.
Thank you, Provost. Not to disagree with anything that's been said, but perhaps just to take the point that Councillor Smith makes around loneliness. I think that is absolutely a key point. I think it's a national agenda as well in terms of at UK level. We see, for example, the Joe Cox Foundation set up in memory of the late Joe Cox, taking that on as a real issue. I think we're unique in East Wren, perhaps in some ways, that we have an increasing population of children and young people, but also an increasing population in their 80s and of older people. And there's a unique opportunity in that, I think, to start to break down some of the loneliness issues. And all of our schools, certainly all of our secondary schools, have been embarking on great initiatives that bring older people into schools, give them a chance to interact with young people, and I think we want to see more of that going forward. So certainly welcome his comments and take that on board from an education point of view as to how can we link up schools, I think, to some older people who are isolated, and ensure that there's a good level of intergenerational working going on as well.
Okay, again, thank you for the comments. All happy with that. And again, can I just remind councillors that any amendments to the draft plan can be approved by our 3 nominees to the CPP board. Okay, I don't anticipate any huge changes to the document that you see in front of you. So can I move on then to item number 10? This report looks for approval of a new data protection policy, and the data protection policy has been prepared in the light of the new GDPR obligations, which I'm sure you're all aware of. This policy will take effect from the 25th of May and will be reviewed every 2 years. We have our solicitor, Jerry Martin, with us today, so I'm happy to take any questions or comments that any of the councillors may have. Everybody bamboozled. Councillor Miller.
I think the fact that we've got a training session arranged, I think it's for next Monday. Maybe we can ask more questions then.
Yeah, we have a training session. We certainly encourage all the councillors to go along if they're able, because this is actually an important document, and I'm sure we're all getting letters, emails and such like from various bodies asking for permission to hold data, so I think we do need to all understand the importance of this change. Councillor O'Kane.
Thanks, Bob. Just briefly, I think to recognise the amount of work that's gone in terms of GDPR, it's no mean feat, and certainly for those of us who work in various sectors that have had to grapple with this, particularly the charity sector. I see Councillor McLean nodding there. It does, it takes up a lot of officer time and a lot of work, so I know that they'll be doing their very best, and I think welcome the training, just as Councillor Miller said as well.
Okay, thank you for that, and look forward to seeing you all next Monday. Our last agenda item this evening is the calendar of meetings for 2019. So these meetings are really for you to note and put in your diary. It's important you obviously attend council meetings. The main change perhaps to flag to you is the budget meeting, which is the most important meeting of the year, as you know, is now being pushed back to the end of February, and that's really to try and deal with the fact that the settlements from Scottish Government are increasingly late, and as you know, in the last couple of years we have had to change our intended date to allow officers time to actually look at the settlement in a bit more detail. So that will now be set for the end of February rather than the beginning of February, and of course the net effect of that is there will be one fewer meeting of the council in the first half of the year. So don't all cheer at the one time, but I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any issues in that calendar. Councillor Swift.
It's not so much an issue with the calendar, but more an issue of even spread of work. And we sit here tonight having a very light agenda, and sometimes we have very heavy agendas. And I accept that there are motions and other things that come and go, and they change things. But I would like to see the diet of meetings, the agenda within them, broadly evened out where more possible, because sitting with over 350 pages to read for a meeting, actually, do you know what, that's a lot of reading, and I'm not sure everybody around here finds that easy to do.
Well, I think the point you made yourself, in some instances the length of the meetings, the content of the meeting is really caused by the councillors themselves, who may well put forward some of the stuff that take lengthy times to debate, so the answer's in their own hands to a degree, but happy to take those points on board. I don't know if Mr Daly wants to make any comments on how the agendas are weighted.
I think simply to say, Provost, that we're very much at the mercy of events, Councillor Swift, and so very often something can happen of which we didn't really have any notice, and so we inevitably have to add these items to agendas, and so from meeting to meeting, as you've rightly pointed out, we can have a fairly light agenda as we've had this evening, and on other occasions the agendas can be quite heavy. I mean, there are certain things that come up to the Council throughout the course of the year which we know about and are programmed in, but there are other things which unfortunately we really don't know about until fairly late on in the day.
Well, I think it's fair to say our own meetings, in comparison with many other councils in Scotland, are relatively short. I mean, there are councils who do start early morning and continue all day, and have, sometimes get into the end of the evening, depending on the nature of the discussion. So historically we've never had that type of council meeting, but it's in our own hands, frankly, in terms of what we put in the agenda. Councillor Ireland.
It's to build on that ever so slightly and say that, certainly noting that, but it's also worth noting that there are fewer councillors doing the work of 18. There's now only 16 doing the work of 18 because we've had. Yeah, I've stepped back and refusing to go on any committee whatsoever. So there's more work. It's more committees for the rest of the elected members. I just wanted it noted.
Well, I think we all would deplore the fact if we have councillors who refuse to serve in committees. I mean, if you're going to be a councillor, you should do the work, and I think that's something that we all feel, irrespective of any party or none. And we have a history of councillors always contributing in this authority. But at the end of the day, it's up to the electorate. They elect who they want, and they will continue to elect who they want. Councillor Devlin. You put your microphone on before you.
Your microphone. A proposal that with Councillor Cunningham, Director of Environment, taking the chairs, because the meeting we had last week only lasted a minute.
I do my best, but I take the hint. Okay. Thank you for your attendance, and you're now dismissed.